February 2022, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Hi, this is Janet, and I'm Sly. Back in 2016, we both decided it was time to stop working, buy an RV, and start traveling the country and the world. And once the RV was pretty much the way we wanted it, we started our travels, and we've been doing it ever since. So join us as we explore this country and the world, and maybe we can even meet up with some of you along the way.
After enjoying the nightlife in Las Vegas with our friends, we decided it was time to do something healthier. So, off we go to the Valley of Fire State Park and do a little hiking. Our first hike of the day is Mouse's Tank Trail, which is just loaded with petroglyphs. Unfortunately, they just don't show up very well on video. Petroglyphs aren't the only beautiful thing along this trail. There are all sorts of rock formations that are just stunning. Of course, to see some of the prettier ones, you do have to kind of climb off the beaten path. For those of you watching some of these videos, you know that Janet and I seldom have a problem climbing up into the rocks to see what's up there. Sometimes we find nothing, but sometimes we find something really cool. But either way, it's always fun, and the climb by itself is fun. One of our climbs took us up to this really cool rock formation that you can't see if you stay down on the trail. Now it was my turn to take a climb, and this time I decided to really get up there and see what I could see. When I saw the side of this cliff, I really wanted to see if I could climb all the way up there. Although it's hard to see, there is a series of ledges and little plateaus that make walking around up there fairly simple, although getting up there, not so much. Sometimes I had to stop, back up, try to figure out how to get to the next area of this cliff. But the view was worth it, although I did get a little winded, and more than once I got just a little on the nervous side, because, hey, I'm still afraid of heights, and sometimes doing this just pushes me, and I feel like if I can push myself enough, I might get over this fear. I've been trying for a long time. Haven't gotten anywhere yet, but I'm gonna keep on trying. Climbing along these rocks was not so bad. There was no sand on them, and I have really good, grippy hiking shoes. Of course, grippy hiking shoes can only take you so far. At some point, too steep is just too steep. Hiking and climbing these cliffs is exciting, but I will admit, once I get back down to the bottom, there is a certain amount of relief. Hiking around the Red Rocks was great, but in order to get there, there is a fairly long walk. Now, the walk is flat, but this walk is sandy, and walking through this sand, it's a whole lot more difficult than climbing around up there in the rocks. It really wears you out, and you have to stop once or twice just to empty all the sand out of your shoes. The next trail we hiked was the Rainbow Vista Trail, and this trail is also in the Valley of Fire State Park. What makes this trail cool is the contrast between the colors of the rocks. Man, it's a line. It goes from red to white to sometimes green, and the line delineating these colors is really sharp. This was a fun trail to hike, a little more rugged than the last one, but one thing you know for sure, when you reach the end, you have most definitely reached the end, because there's a cliff. The sign is cool, but there's a cliff. Now, the cool thing about ending a trail on a cliff is the view you get from the top of this cliff looking down into the gorge. We took a moment out there on that ledge to just enjoy the view before we had to turn around and make our way back. I am telling you people, if you get a chance, get out here, because this video just doesn't do justice to the colors that I'm looking at. The walk back alternated between flat, wide, sandy spots and narrow, rocky, and somewhat steep canyons to get you back up to the trailhead near the road. Picking way through these canyons is fun, but here you had to be just a little bit more careful because the rocks were smooth, but there was sand on them, so you could kind of lose the grippiness of your shoes and end up slipping a little bit. But if you pay attention to what's around you and take a little time to pick your path, you'll easily find your way back up and out of this canyon. It was time for our friends to move on, but before they left, they told us about Red Rock Canyon, and that's where we're going to next. Red Rock Canyon is on the west side of Las Vegas. It's a national preserve that's managed by the Bureau of Land Management. If you have a National Park Pass, you can get in here for only $2. But know this, you need to make a reservation in order to get into this specific park. They limit the number of people in there at any one time, and that's actually a good thing. So we make our way to the park, keeping an eye out for these ferocious turtles that just seem to cross the road in a willy-nilly kind of fashion. Oh well, we made it in there, and now we are at Red Rock Canyon. Earlier, we were at the Valley of Fire, and we thought that was beautiful. But Red Rock Canyon? Oh my goodness, this place takes it up to a whole new level. This is just at the entrance of the park, and although it looks really cool, it is by no means the prettiest part of this park. Our goal today is to hike the Calico Tank Trail. So, according to the trail guide provided by the park, the Calico Tanks Trail is 2.5-mile round trip, and we gain an elevation of roughly 450 feet. Shouldn't take more than about 2 hours to hike this entire trail. Well, anyway, that's what the trail map said, but the reality, well, that was just a little bit different. Our step trackers insisted we did at least 5 miles during this hike, so I'm not sure where they got this 2.5-mile round trip thing. As far as changing the elevation, 450 feet, well, I don't have an app to tell me just how high I really went, but if I'm gonna go by what I felt like we climbed up at least 10,000 feet, most of it along the side of a cliff going straight up. Okay, so maybe I exaggerated the 10,000 feet just a little bit, but hey, the climbing up alongside of the cliff, nearly straight up, that was maybe a little bit less of an exaggeration. About halfway to the end, we came across our first tank. A tank is nothing more than a big puddle in the gorge. Some of these tanks have water in them nearly year-round, and that's because they're in such a narrow canyon that they barely get any sun during the day, so the water doesn't have time to evaporate. Well, anyway, it's time to continue the up. For those of you wondering, this trail is listed as a moderately difficult trail. This is not even the most difficult one out here. And even though it's listed as a moderate trail, I will tell you there is a lot of scrambling up over boulders and up through cliffs. There is nothing really easy about this or even moderate about this. Janet and I had a nice conversation on whether this was the most difficult hike we ever took. And although we couldn't quite decide, I do believe that it might be up in the top 2 or 3 most difficult hikes that we ever took. On the upside, get it, the upside? Anyway, on the upside, at least the rocks were really nice and grippy. Our shoes hung on to these rocks, so there wasn't a lot of slipping. But boy, there was a lot of climbing. I think the trick to doing this hike is just to take your time. I mean, do one of the big climbs and then stop, take a break, look around, drink some water, and then get ready to take on the next series of cliffs in front of you. There was a lot of difficult things along this climb, but I'll tell you, the most difficult thing about this entire hike was picking out the pictures and videos that I wanted to put into this YouTube video. Between Janet and I, we came back down off this hike with well over 200 pictures and videos. And let me tell you, it ain't easy to pare that down to only the best ones because, wow, they were all the best ones. But the climb continues. You make it up through one narrow canyon only to find another one ahead of you that's even steeper. Because as you get closer to the end, it of course gets steeper. But along the way, like I said, we stopped and we saw some of the most beautiful sights, like a lone tree and this little cactus looking thing, which was very cool. And we even found some flowering flowers out here. Janet took this beautiful picture of a tree against the blue sky, and then she pushed some buttons in the camera and it created this, which I thought was very, very cool. And we even found one petroglyph out here. You know that the hike is difficult when you're asking people on the way down whether you're there yet. This is a question you ask when you're really, really tired and you're thinking about turning around, but you know you're so close that you don't want to. And here we are, the last cliff we have to climb to see what's on the other side. And the view on the other side? Well, the entire Las Vegas Valley right down below you. And although you can't really tell from this pictures, that is the entire Las Vegas skyline, right there. We took some time to enjoy this view before starting the climb back down to the car, and down, quite often, is more difficult than up. Gravity is not your friend. I think I've said that before. We did make it down, and we found a place to have a lunch with a view, because when we hike out here, we really enjoy our lunch with a view. We think we deserve it. It's a good reward for working that hard. And after lunch, we called it a day and made our way home. Okay, so I couldn't resist. We took a lot of beautiful pictures and I wanted to share them with you. I didn't put all 200 in here, I promise, but I hope you enjoy the ones I did. Well, I hope you enjoyed these pictures half as much as we enjoyed taking them. But our week has come to an end, and for the last day, we decided to take it easy. Hey, we worked hard yesterday, and we deserve a day off. And for our day off, we decided to go up to the lake, enjoy the warmth, read a book, and just enjoy the view in front of us. With that, we end another week in Las Vegas, Nevada, as we continue to enjoy our travels across the United States and beyond. This turned out to be a really fun week with lots of really fun hikes. We both hope that you enjoyed following this week along with us. As usual, if you look down in the description below, you'll find a link to all the places we visited so that you don't have to work as hard as we did to find them. Janet and I both hope that maybe these videos will encourage you to go out and take a few trips of your own. And we also hope that you join us as we continue to explore this stop.